morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday Morning Cup of Coffee with me and my co-host Marty Lenz. How are you today, Marty?
I'm 58 and feeling great. How about
Eh,
that?
That is awesome. For those that aren't aware, Marty has turned 58 years old today, so we
Woo.
wish him a happy birthday. I should find my sound effects. There are some sound effects with cheering. They've added so much stuff to this software that we'll have to figure out a way to do that at some point. How was your weekend?
My weekend was lovely, aside from the outcome of the football game with UNLV. But other than that, my friend, I mean, I went. Just now I'm in Arizona. I'm at a resort just outside of Phoenix, Wigwam, with the wife, doing some leisure time, some evaluating of some things, some potential work things. My wife's here at a work retreat, work conference. So it's been a whirlwind, like 24, 36 hours, being in the fort, calling the game, really loving and enjoying that. Again, not the outcome, but then being here. It's been a fun weekend for me. So
Yeah, I'm honored. You're out of town. You're at the Wigwam, a great resort. They have so many nice resorts in the Phoenix area, and it's a nice early in the year before all the snowbirds come down from
yeah.
Canada and Chicago and Minnesota. So probably a pretty peaceful time. You get anything fun planned for the Phoenix area?
Not in particular. It's just basically relaxing, laying around. I go to a few functions with my wife as her plus one, hopefully her asset. But no, it's just gives. This is just nice to get away. She said, "Hey, look, since now that you are available, come on this trip with me just to get away for a couple of days." So it's just kind of nice to get away, change location for a little bit.
So I was trying to think back of when I was 58. That was a long time ago for me. 2011.
Wow.
That was the year of CSU with we still had Tim Miles and Andy
Yeah.
Ogaday and Adam Nigon
Some great
and
people.
some great players. But I'm aging and I'm not quite the kid I used to be anymore. Yeah, so we'll talk about, you had your opening gig as a color analyst on a CSU radio broadcast. Of course, we're going to bring on the guy who led the way in the booth on Saturday night, the voice of the Rams, Brian Roth, in a couple of minutes. But was it everything you expected?
It was. I mean, it's just so it's interesting because in my head when I'm watching the game, I'm thinking about things and observing things and questioning things or applauding things. So to be able to do it literally where I speak it out loud, but to a sizable audience is pretty interesting. And I mean this sincerely. I was excited as heck to work with Marty Cesario and of course with Brian because they're just such great people and great broadcasters. So I was really excited to work with Brian, and then the young, Ruby Kaiser. Ruby was great too, bringing her on the broadcast. So I mean, and Eric Hood, producer, everybody, Randy Stahl. It's a real great collection of people. So when you step into something like that, just to help out, to pinch hit, you don't want to upset that apple cart. So I was very mindful, like, hey man, I'm excited about this and what I can bring to the fold, but also realizing I want to fit into the rest of this collective and team because they already do such an exceptional job. So that was my mission and goal. So yes, it was everything I thought it was going to be and more, aside from, of course, the outcome. Close for a while and it was intriguing, but then, it's tough. There's CSU's in a rebuild, and we probably can talk more about that at some other point. So
Let's go. One quick question before Brian comes on. One of the I was it difficult? I mean, here you are. You're supposed to do analysis in between the play by play. You see a lot of things, and the mind gets racing. Is it hard to remember and collect your thoughts at all as you're trying to add to the with the color?
not necessarily. What I try to do, you look at the lineup, you look at the play, then you see the play executed, and then what I have to go back to is thinking, what was the coverage, what was the alignment, because things are shifting. What was the decision made on a play, whether it's a pass or a run? Why did they do that? And then try to reflect back, saying this is a smart play based on what they had aligned, what they were calling. Or one instance that jumps to mind, they were doing a nice run play where they're trying to get a lead blocker, one of the linemen in front, but every time Dupree, who's so quick, he'd hit that hole so quick. I said, that lead blocker's got to be a step quicker because Dupree's losing momentum. He'll get through the hole, but he's losing about a yard or two because he has to, stop or push or get through. So I was thinking about if that's executed even more, besides he could get more than just 5 yards in a play, he could get 6 or 7 just by slow down. Things like that to bring to the fold to share with people saying it's executed, but they're just missing, they're off by a tad here.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's cool. I love hearing that. I know how talented you are doing interviews and stuff, and I imagine it's just a similar, different venue, but using similar skills. So, with that in mind, without any further ado, I'm going to bring on none other than Brian Roth, the voice of the Rams. Brian, thank you so much for joining Marty and me this morning. How are you, young man?
Yeah, I'm doing great, guys. Appreciate the invite, Steve and Marty. Good to see you. It's been a long time. It was a long weekend for me, fellas, and I think I was telling Marty this on Saturday, but I was doing the Colorado Eagles game on Friday night, filling in for Kevin McLew's the voice of the Eagles. He went over to TV for a TV game, and so I filled in for radio and the Eagles on Friday night, and then I did the UNLV CSU football game on Saturday, and then yesterday I did the CSU men's basketball game. So, man, I'm wiped out.
So what's interesting? So I find it amazing. 3 different sports. Three different types of preparation because the sports are different. Your brain must have been hurting by the time because you got to learn numbers. You got to learn a little bit about the other team to be able to do play-by-play. Football is hard with so many players, but the speed of hockey and then the speed of basketball, learning numbers and players and names, I'm amazed. That must have been a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I've done a lot of college hockey on TV for Altitude and a couple of other outlets over the last maybe decade, but never a pro game, and it moves so much faster. I mean, that's right below the NHL, and so, but the hockey was the real heavy lift because I hadn't done it in a while. I had never done, obviously, the Eagles and their brand new team. They played Abbotsford, the Canucks AAA team, and man, you get literally, I mean, you get 18 guys out there that are zooming around the ice, and they don't make substitutions at dead, at whistles, right? And stops to play. I mean, those lines are going. So it was a blast. And then obviously with the football and men's basketball, it's a little easier because at least I know CSU and you're only preparing kind of for the opposing team. So it was fun. A great weekend. I'm not complaining at all because it was an absolute blast.
Brian, I'm going to use the Wayne Gretzky axiom. He says, what made him so good is he didn't go where the puck was. He's going to go where it was going to be. When you're calling a hockey game, is that like you too? Are you looking ahead to say here where the movement is as opposed to actually where it is in place?
No, I was just trying to keep my head above water, to be honest with you. I was just kind of no, I mean, no, not really. No, I mean, it's I've said this before to young broadcasters when it comes to calling games, certainly on the radio, it's like you don't have to call it in real time. You can be a second behind. Don't feel like you have to call it like right on the dot, because if you call a game a second behind, what you do is you give yourself a chance to realize what has actually happened. Did he actually hand off the ball, or is it a play fake, right? Because if you try to get it the second he puts it in the running back's belly, like speaking football, well, I mean, you're saying handoff, but he pulls out and he rolls, and we still make mistakes throughout the course of a broadcast. But I'm actually try to be a second or two behind just to make sure I understand where the ball is and what's happening on the field so you can accurately describe it for the folks that are listening and have no visual representation.
That's funny you say that, because there's a couple times where I saw the penalty flag. I'm pretty sure I thought what the play was, and I realized, oh no, I'm a little wrong. So I'm going to take that advice next time we work together.
What a great piece of insight. It's this kind of stuff that those of us, us common people, don't think of, and what it takes to do to be a quality play-by-play person. So I want to switch. Let's switch gears and talk basketball. And I was going to ask this question of just kind of you've had a week with broadcasting 2 games of the CSU men's basketball team. I was going to ask for your 30,000 foot view, but you don't get 30,000. You are right on the floor. You are basically an appendage of the bench. But Brian, what are your first thoughts of after the first week and a couple of games with CSU?
Well, very encouraged, right? And Steve, I know you've been at practices. I've been at practices. I was out there a few times in the summer as well. You're trying to get a look at the new team because it is new, right? Only 3 guys that saw the floor last year for Colorado State. You bring in 6 newcomers, and you're talking to the coaches, and you're hearing what they're saying. And obviously, coaching staff's going to tell you, all 356 of them at the Division I level, hey, we like our new pieces, right? We like what we have. Our roster is where we want it. This is the team we built. But I really did feel like there was a genuine excitement with Coach Roach and the rest of that coaching staff with the guys that they brought in. And so I was really curious to see, okay, we've heard about it. You've seen them on the practice floor. I hadn't seen them in person for a game until the opener against Incarnate Word a week ago here today, and to see them in person and to watch them now for 2 games, I'm really impressed. And the one thing that arly has talked to me about over the last month, when I continue to barrage him with questions, is I said, what is it about this team? I mean, look, you guys seem bigger, you seem longer. Obviously, this is going to be a very deep basketball team this year for the Rams. But what is it that you like? And he keeps coming back to the fact that this team is competitive. He said when they do live drills and when they're competing in practice, man, his quote was, "Heads are flying," right? And so I think that really stood out to me as well in the first 2 games. This is a group of dudes that loves to play, and they play hard, and they don't take really plays off during the game. And then we talked about the depth, Steve. I mean, that's really impressive. And the Rams, I mean, really made a hockey line shift yesterday. Their first substitution, and I think it was 5 starters out, 5 newcomers come in at like the 16-minute marker, whenever that first substitution was, and boom, the Rams had played 10 guys already, and it was the first 5 minutes of the game.
Brian, is that tenable? It's something we've talked about. I've talked with Steve too. At some point, it's great that you're playing all the guys, but at some point, do you see that bench and that rotation shortening to maybe 7, 8 guys?
Adam Nigon and I talked about that in the post-game show, and I threw that at Adam, actually. I said, Adam, I mean, they played 10 guys, and let's keep in mind that Rashawn Bemba is not even part of the equation yet, right? And so he's hopefully going to come back soon. But I said, Adam, can you continue to play 10 guys, or is that going to get down to 9, right? And then obviously you get into conference play and things tighten up even more, right? You get into the postseason, it tightens up even more. But I think for right now, yeah, I mean, since we get in the month of November and into December, I think that's going to be a challenge for arly and this coaching staff, is figuring out how all those pieces fit. Now they're fitting already. Obviously, scoring 98 and 97. Obviously, Omaha's a nice team. Went to the NCAA tournament last year. I think they're going to compete in the Summit. I thought Incarnate Word was a decent team. They won 19 games and brought back a big-time score. And so they might have a chance to compete in the Southland. But obviously, the competition level is going to take a step up as you move a little bit further, and certainly when you move into conference play. So, I mean, you got a lot of guys that can play. And is it going to stay at 10? And we're going to be rotating 10 guys in February? Maybe. I guess that's a possibility. I don't know if that's where I'd put my money on yet. But look, they got a lot of guys that can play. I've been impressed with JoJo McIver, the freshman. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to cut minutes, who are you going to cut them from? Well, maybe some of the younger, more inexperienced guys. But, I watched JoJo McIver defend yesterday, rebound early in that game. It's like, well, you always need defense and you always need rebounding. So it'll be fun to watch.
The thing I did my own post-game stream last night, and one of the things I pointed out, you brought up JoJo. I thought the game started turning in the first half when you had JoJo and Jace Butler defending in the backcourt. They're not the starters, but I thought they had better defensive games than the starters, than Rechsteiner and Pasquarelli did, and that alone puts a lot of pressure in terms of who's going to play and who's going to get minutes. And that's you talked about the competitiveness in practice. That's the kind of stuff that is going to force those guys to to step up and even improve. And I thought Rexsteiner and Pasquarelli were better defensively in the second half as a result. Rexsteiner went to the bench and sat for a little bit in the first half when he lost his man, which Ali's already, he's not messing around. And I want to ask you about Ali. Do you see, from your seat, do you see anything in terms of the way he manages a game versus Nico?
No, it's hard to say so far, but I'll say he doesn't stand in front of me as much as Nico stands in front of me.
Doesn't steal your gum as much.
That's right. Adam and I were talking about that before the Incarnate Word game. It's like, here's the biggest question that we're concerning ourselves with: how much will the head coach stand in front of us? And we were joking back in the day with Eustace, Larry would stand in front of us, and then he'd bend over. Right. And just we'd just be looking right at Larry in front of us, bend over. It's like, wow, well, at least we can kind of see, but the view is kind of interesting. And Nico a lot of times would stand. And so we joke about that. One thing I do know is that I think Ali is going to have to kind of figure out how to approach being a head coach, right? Because you just don't know until you do it. And when I say approach, like during the game, it's like, how much do you work the reps, right? How much are you getting after your own guys? And those are things he's got to feel throughout his career. And obviously with Nico and with him starting off at Furman and had experience there, then Drake, and then all the years at Colorado State, over those years, you understand how to work a game, whether it's how much to get after your own players, right? Or is it an opportunity you got to encourage your guys when things are going wrong and try to keep their spirits up? And how much do you work officials? And Ali's been pretty quiet out there the first couple games, so trying to kind of feel it out and let it come to him. He didn't like a call yesterday at one point, and he called the official over. And I know it'll change, but he's been very calm on the bench so far, in my mind. Now, again, you've won by 34, and you won by last night they won by 23. So the high intensity moments where it's coming down the stretch and you get a call that goes against you, that has not happened yet. But I think it'll be interesting to see how Ali interacts with the officials as we move forward, and even his own team, and when to press different buttons. But I sure like what I see. And as we talked about on the broadcast last night, again, it's like, look, I know Nico Medved's in Minnesota, but that Ram offense is right here in Fort Collins. It looks terrific.
Brian, I want to talk about environments, and I won't talk about the football environment. It's a little different, though. You've got years of when you've called in that stadium, and even this year is full. But calling a game from Moby, knowing what we have with the basketball team versus calling the football team, at least at this current state, and you're a pro, but is it a different vibe, a different feel for you being in Moby and watching the team saying this team could do some real things and impact? And does that, as a broadcaster, get you excited knowing that?
Yeah, for sure. And I thought the crowd was good yesterday at Moby for a Sunday. Of course, the Broncos not playing, I think, certainly helps that. We'll see how they do in a few weeks or a month when the Packers are in town and the Rams are playing Northern New Mexico. So, but I'll say this. I want to say that the Ram fans for football have really been great this year. I mean, the Hawaii crowd was 40,000 fans. Yeah. The UNC Ag Day game was great. The students have been at an all-time high for football. And there's nothing that takes the place of a Campus Stadium, 40,000 fans. And it's great when the Rams give them something to cheer about too, right? But like when 40,000 fans and like that season of the stadium opener in 2017, I mean, to get that much energy around you is just at a different level. But no, Moby Arena, guys, and I talk to opposing broadcasters, whether they're in our league or they come in from other bigger programs. When they talk about Moby Arena, they all say the same thing. They all say, we love coming to Colorado State. And they like being in Fort Collins, and the night before their chance to go out and have some dinner out in Old Town. And everyone loves coming to Fort Collins on their road trip, right? It's not one of those road trips that opposing broadcasters look at and say, we got to go there, right? No, they're always like, oh, great. Hey, we get to go to Fort Collins on X state, right? But they all say the same thing. They say, when this place is full, and to me, if you have over 5,000 fans at Moby Arena, that it's loud. Now you get up to 6, 7, and obviously you sell it out at 8. It is a formidable opposing arena to play in. But all the opposing announcers that I talked to, and even talking to Dave Pilipovich, the now new coach for Colorado State that has obviously been on the other side as a head coach with Air Force and assistant coach with New Mexico, said the same thing. When that place is full, it is as fun of an arena to watch a basketball game as there is in the Mountain West Conference. I mean, the Spectrum is a ton of fun to watch in Logan. Obviously, the Pit down in New Mexico, when the Aztecs, you go to San Diego State, the Viejas is always fun. But when you get those type of atmospheres, it is fun for everybody involved, both the opponents and the home team and the home crowd. So everybody agrees. Moby Arena is awesome. And the thing that makes it great too, it's smaller, but it's just unique, right? I mean, you walk in some of these places and it's a bowl with seats, and it's like, I've seen this before on 58 different campuses. Moby has a uniqueness that I think adds to why it's so special.
Yeah, playing on that, I'm blessed where I get to sit. I'm pretty much right behind you. I'm 7 rows off the floor. I'm rim height and on the free throw line, and there's a lot of stuff I get to see. I was going to ask you, I've been on that floor during a sellout during the Fight Like a Ram day when I went through cancer, and it felt like the floor was shaking. Do you get that feeling when the crowd is? I mean, can you really feel it down on the floor?
Yeah, and there's no question. It vibrates. It definitely vibrates, and the fans are right up on you too. And those Moby seats are steep too. It's not like they go out and you feel like, if you're up in row 20, you're way off the court, right? I mean, Steve, you said row 7, and that's steep. I mean, you're still not that far from the floor because it's going up, and I think that's what helps bring that volume down to the court there at Moby Arena and make it vibrate a little bit and shake a little bit. So again, I thought that the crowd was good yesterday. I think the students are going to be great this season. I mean, if they're great for football, why wouldn't they be great for basketball? There's just no rhyme or reason why that shouldn't happen. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun basketball season.
And you touched on it, Brian. It's something that impresses me, and I know it's been a concerted effort by the administration. But I will say, for me, I feel over the last 3 to 5 years, CSU student body, the young people getting in the stands for football games and for Moby, it has been transformational. And as an alum and as an old alum, it excites me because I know I was there sometimes, and not so much with Moby. When I was a young person there, those were the great Tiny Grant teams, and so Moby was always packed. But some of the football games, it was tough. But seeing the students really show up and show out, and I know that's been a real mission for the administration. And I know, again, from your perch as a broadcaster, that's got to make you feel good to see, hey, there is support here. And even though it hasn't always been perfect, in particular with football, the fans are coming out, the students are coming out.
I mean, it adds so much. And the students have been, and I think Amy Parsons told us the enrollment's at an all-time high at CSU. I think it's 34. Did it get above 34,000 here this season? So, yeah, and to be able to capture the attention of the students too is different than where it was 20 years ago, right? Because there's just so many things grabbing our attention these days, right? That little device we all have, I mean, is just screaming at you for your attention 24/7, right? Unfortunately, and we try to put up some barriers, but you're vying for attention of 18 to 23-year-olds, and that's not always easy to do. And I do want to commend Colorado State and John Weber and Amy Parsons and what they've done with game day for football. And I mean, it was so much fun out there. This weekend on Saturday, I'd go out and do a Rams live hit, that new live show that CSU does, and it was over in the vendor village for the snow days. Of course, they had the snow days on campus, and there was a mass of students over there. And of course, they had the rail jam and all that stuff, and the whole tailgating area over there. It is fun. I mean, it feels like, and Scott Sidwell, deputy director of athletics, says, look, I mean, he's been at Penn State, and he said, this is what it's like at Penn State, just less Winnebagos and less campers, because that's the big thing there. But it's just on a little smaller version. You don't have 100,000, you have 35, you have 40,000. But he goes, it's the same thing. Like what we're trying to recreate here, and the vibe, for the tailgate for football. And then the in-game experience, I think they've really done a good job on that, both in Campus Stadium and now as you get into Moby Arena. How do you keep people entertained when there is a dead ball, when you do go to the 4 media timeouts, right? When you're at halftime, how do you keep people entertained when they have entertainment right there on their phone that's in their pocket 24/7?
So that's awesome. I love what they do with the basketball production. It's good. Football, the growth in the last 2 years with the tailgating scene, and Sidwell could probably tell you, the interesting thing about the Big Ten games is there's usually a bigger crowd outside the stadium than inside
Right.
the stadium during the games. I've been at games at Ohio State when there's 150,000 people outside the stadium, and it's crazy. Anyway, we gotta let you go soon, but I'm not gonna let you get away without commenting on Marty's debut as a color analyst. And I have my buddy Joey B. We all know Joe. Roth and Lenz, the new Keith Jackson and Dan Fouts of college football. That's LFG. Brian, let's hear your thoughts on Marty's debut as a color analyst on Saturday night versus UNLV.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to talk to Marty yet after the game, but may as well say it right now. Marty, I apologize. We're gonna have to let you go. We tried. Okay, we threw.
I've been hearing that of late.
Just so
It must be a trend with me of late.
I'm joking. I'm joking on that. Well, let me say first, Ricky Brewer's done a great job with us the last 4 years. And Ricky has a young family. He's a principal of an elementary school, and it was his time constraints were getting tighter and tighter, and it got to a point where he just really kind of didn't have time and had to focus on his family. And so we tried to figure out what to do. And Marty was a guy who, I think it was 4 years ago, Steve, I reached out to Marty about that open analyst position, and he was working at KOA, and I said, Marty, would you be interested in talking with us about that? And he had just gotten to KOA and wasn't able to do that. And so it's serendipitous that Marty was kind of available to do these Final Four games with us. And so look, I knew Marty would be prepared. Check. He's not going to be nervous putting on a headset. He's lived on the radio for decades. So check, right? And he brings a former player mentality, check, and he brings passion for Colorado State, check. And he got on the air and it was boom. I mean, it just hit the ground running. He was, I thought, outstanding. He and I didn't step on each other too much in the broadcast. It was great. I mean, I thought we worked really well. And, it's always hard to do something for the first time. And that's a long broadcast too. There's a lot going on in that booth and in your ears and people talking to you. And he handled it like a true pro that I knew he would. And I can't wait to do the next game, and the next game, because you just kind of iron out those just little kinks that we had. But Marty was fantastic, A+, and looking forward to the broadcast coming up on Saturday. And the game, I always look forward to college football games, but I'm looking forward to the broadcast for sure.
Well, that's kind of you to say. You're a great driver, Brian. I mean, I've been forced to work with some really good people, even in my short interims doing color when I did it in the Bay Area for the Comcast broadcast for high school football. But no, you're an easy follow. You're an easy follow. You're a great driver. You made my job. All of you guys, you, Marty, Randy, Eric, everybody on that team made my job very easy.
It's a good crew. It's a good crew.
It is.
So, Marty, before we let Brian go, any final thoughts? Any final question for him?
Is there good food in Albuquerque when we're going to make that trip?
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get some Mexican for sure. I got a couple of spots that we usually hit, so we're gonna have a margarita and some Mexican food. It's gonna be great. So it'll be fun. Hopefully the weather's good. I haven't even checked the weather down in Albuquerque, but the big thing for us, Marty, on road games, it's a day game.
Right.
It's a day game. That means we're gonna fly home and be home like at 8:30 at night, as opposed to when we played to San Diego and we landed at 6:25 a.m. So that's a win already.
Good.
Well, Brian, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. I told you yesterday, I have so much respect for what you do. I could never be a play-by-play guy. and a lot of it is driven by the fact that I don't have the temperament. You are no, and it is. It takes a special person who's very even, not just a great voice, not just somebody who's smart and prepared, but somebody who is very even in terms of temperament. If I was at doing that game on Saturday night, I would have ripped the headphones off and walked out of the booth in the third quarter and joined the crowd on their way out. And you were professional the whole game, and I think Ram fans, I hope they appreciate the quality of the play-by-play and the professionalism. And thank you so much for joining us. It's been great having you, and I'll see you again at Moby on Wednesday night, right?
Indeed, Steve. Appreciate the kind words there, and appreciate your coverage and what you bring to Colorado State athletics, and Colorado State basketball in particular. It's awesome. So thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.
All righty, we'll see you, Brian. Thanks again.
I know we'll chat soon again, Brian.
There you go, Brian Roth, ladies and gentlemen. I think the world of him, and he and Nigon have turned into a team. I'm looking forward to the same with you, Marty.
Well, that's kind of. Speaking of, I love Adam. Adam is just so good. I mean, I'm one of those classic people, man. I found it. I'll find it on TV, but I'll listen to them do the game because they're just because Brian is just excellent at what he's did. And Adam is a color guy for basketball. He is so good and so insightful. I mean, there's things that I, even though it's a different sport, that I learn or listen to and can pick up from Adam along the way too. So I love it. CSU is very lucky with the broadcast properties and the people they have doing them. They really, really genuinely are.
Another comment from Joey. Awesome segment. Roth is the best. Yeah, I think we're really lucky to have him. You know, I wanted to bring up one thing before we call it a day. I'm looking forward to seeing. I believe that they should announce after the first week of basketball the player of the week, and I'm dying to see. I sent out a text to my little circle of friends that we go back and forth. Yeah, my buddies. Joel Cantalamessa and Mike Rowe from RamNation.com, and another friend, Luke Kingsley. And I said, Kyle Jorgensen should probably win Player of the Week, given the average 20 points and 9 rebounds in a 2-0 week. And I said, knowing that Kyle should win it, they'll probably give it to Donovan Dent again, just like they used to last year over Nick Clifford. But I am so looking forward to to seeing what happens there. You brought up when we were talking before the show. You talked about the upsets and stuff. In your experience, playing games and stuff, when you were playing and your team, you thought they were favored and they ended up losing. What kinds of things? What do you remember of those losses? What were the circumstances that created those losses?
I can't. In my day, I mean, we lost with frequency, so it's kind of hard. But honestly, most of the teams we lost to were just genuinely better. But the only time I can think of, well, there is the New Mexico loss. Funny, in 1988 when we traveled to New Mexico and probably should have won that game, but there was a few on that list. But, we're peer schools, at least in the same conference. It wasn't offset. But there was one year, I think it was 87 or 88, maybe 89, but we played Eastern Michigan. They came to town. And I'm thinking, Ken, they were the MAC or whatever the conference was then. And I was thinking, this should be a game we won. We ended up tying them. And you're just kind of left like, wait a second, really? We are better than these guys. How are we not winning games like this? But the mindset, frankly, was different because we weren't the Colorado State that we eventually became. So it probably wasn't as stark or as shocking, but there is a little bit of like, wait a second, it would have been like us, frankly, losing to Northern Colorado, with all due respect. You don't want to lose that game, which almost happened this year. So you're kind of like, wait a second, what are we doing here? What is that? Why can't we should be able to beat a team like this? So mentally, it probably shows the transition of where you are as a player and as a program at that moment. And again, I mean, yeah, had we lost to UNC this year, I mean, all things are possible, but you're just like, then you really have to reassess kind of who you think you are, maybe the direction that you're heading as a player or as a program. So, but back when that happened with us, I think it's just that we were so down in many ways that it wasn't shocking, but you do say, wait, this is a school we should be. Why are we even tying them? So.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. basketball is a wonderful sport because it's five guys have to play as one unit, and with so many new players, it's not unusual for teams to struggle against different styles of play. And if they don't stay focused, maybe they worked on some things in the preparation, the game preparation, and they forget to do them, or they're not schooled enough and to do it together for 40 minutes. And you see these games where UNLV got beat, Boise State got beat, Grand Canyon got beat, and you see these crazy upsets.
Well, and I apologize, let me break your side, but here's the thing. I know you point out, look, CSU has a pretty new roster, but when you only have 12, 15 spots in a basketball team, and there's 300 D1 teams or that compete, there's a lot of spots. So these schools, the Hawaii, what are they, Baptist or whatever, who beat Boise, they're going to get a few players here and there too, because not every kid can go to Kentucky. Not every kid's going to go to CSU. Not every kid's going to go to a more brand name school. So they're going to get an opportunity. So the portal has probably flattened out a little bit of the talent, if you want to say, on the next 100 schools. You may have, if you want to break into 3 tiers, the top 100, the mid 100, low 100, that it's going to flatten out for the next 200 kids, where you're going to get talent a little more evenly dispersed to where that probably happens too.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The portal giveth and the portal taketh, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. And speaking of the portal, Kyan Evans, who transferred to North Carolina, they played on Friday night against Kansas, and Kyan was unbelievable in the second half. I have to shout him out. He was great, and they ended up beating Kansas by double digits in North Carolina, and that was a very, very good win for the Tar Heels. Jalen Crocker-Johnson, who went with Nico up to Minnesota, had a 15-point, 16-rebound game. So both those guys, we lost them in the portal. I still follow them. I'm into the guys we have now, and I'm excited about the guys we have now. But it's fun to follow the other guys that left the program. So,
well, especially for Kyan, he's a Kansas kid, right? So being able to go beat KU probably makes it even more special as a Tar Heel too. So yeah, gosh, yeah.
I sent him a congratulatory text, and he responded back with that. He's a very humble, very, very nice young man, and he just said thank you very much. He was I know he was ecstatic having beating a school that was 30 miles away from where he grew up. So anyway, it's time to call it a day. Thank you so much. Thanks for popping in on your birthday from Phoenix, Arizona.
Happy to do it.
It is great having you. I learned so much from you, and congratulations again on your debut as a color analyst. Hopefully you'll have fun in New Mexico, and then we'll be back again at it next Monday morning. And I've got to figure out a way. I told you before, I have new coffee mugs coming in for all of our. I'll get you one, and for all of our guests, I've got some nice Yeti mugs with logo, and they're high quality, and they're out of my price range, but nothing but high quality for my guests and my co-hosts. So thanks again, Marty. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you, my friend.
You bet. Go Rams.
Go Rams.